Hello, I thought I'd like to share some sketches I've done in the last week. So here is sketch number one. These are some cups I drew and an apple, obviously. I drew the bird because this was the day I was supposed to get on an airplane and fly out to see the Masons, the grandchildren, the daughter, the son-in-law, all those people who live in Edmonton. That didn't happen. So I started this project of working on my sketchbook. And here is the next sketch. This is in New Hampshire, where I live, the first day of spring. The lake is still covered with water, but look, there's a tiny bit of open water. The lake is still covered with ice. Sorry about that. You can see a little bit of open water. And these rocks, I like the way they look. They look like some kind of Japanese garden. I draw them every year. It's very moody. It was very foggy. I liked it, except I wish it had looked a little more spring-y. So then I started this project called the ABC Scavenger Hunt. It was suggested by a drawing group in Boston called Urban Sketchers Boston. So I just had plenty of time, so I started out with A, of course. We happened to have some Honeycrisp apples in the kitchen, which we got from a farm stand, and they were so delicious. I mean, small with a small d, that I painted one. They're very colorful, just what I needed. So B is a Paddington Bear stuffy that my mother made. It's well worn. I think the coat has shrunk and the boots got lost somewhere, but this bear has traveled all over Europe. Sarah carried him everywhere. He's been in castles in Germany and had all kinds of adventures. Now he lives on our window seat. So that's B. For C, I decided to draw a china cup that was made in Germany. It was a wedding present. They're so very delicate and frankly kind of small. We hardly ever use them. But I thought it'd be interesting to pull it out. It has a delicate design on it, and I contrasted that with a very wild patterned kata, I think it's called. Anyway, it is a cotton sari quilt from the Bengali area. I bought it at Job Lot. I love it. I have reupholstered chairs with it. I've done all sorts of things with this wonderful fabric. So for D, I just rummaged in the cupboard and got two exotic things which I thought I would compare. They're both being very colorful. The green one is dal, which you know is some sort of a sauce or soup made out of lentils. I never heard of lentils until I lived in France. They're called lentilles, which is also their word for lens. They're also shaped like lenses. Anyway, that was a good painting challenge. I contrasted it with Dinty Moore beef stew, which I generally don't have on hand, but I do right now. This label is unchanged from my childhood. The font is the same. The only difference is the flip top opener on the top. Next page, E for egg. I usually have an egg in the morning, so I broke one and left one whole and put it in a bowl I like with a green band on it, and purposely thought an egg and a bird would make a good combination. So the E is for egg and the F is for this blue-footed booby sculpture, which I bought on a Lindblad ship in the Galapagos. I bought it from the sculptor who spoke no English, but there was a translator there, happened to be the ship's doctor, and we communicated that way. And it's a very beautiful carving. I don't know what kind of wood. It's left, the wood is bare except for the blue bill and feet. We did see some blue-footed boobies in the Galapagos, but only at a distance. G is for grapes. This is a stained glass ornament we bought in Germany. I love the design of it. I love the choice of materials. I enjoy painting things that require me to study the materials and try to replicate the textures and look of the material. So this is glass, of course, and I like it a lot. And the other choice for this page, just to fill up the page a little bit, with these magnets of G's Bend quilts. The top one, these are about life size. The top one, of course, repeats these blue shapes, although instead of being round, they're square in this case. I like these quilts a lot because they are asymmetrical. They're surprising. There's little bits there that you takes a while to notice, like the little bit of brown at the top of the upper one. I'm not a fan of regular quilts that follow a pattern. I like something that just jumps off and has a life of its own. And here is a platter painted by Sarah, the mom of her 3 children. Wyatt, the little green fingerprint there, he was only, I don't know, 2-3 weeks old. He was very, very young. And we all went down to this place on whatever that main drag is in Old Strathcona in Edmonton. White Avenue. That's it. And I remember the day, of course, that the lady there smeared paint on the girls, the older Noelle and Roxy, and they were old enough to understand what was going on. And then the little baby kept rolling his fingers into a fist, and the lady kept straightening them out, and well, we got something that looks a bit like a handprint. Shane was not born at this time, of course. Next up is I didn't roam around the house too far looking for an I just spotted this book, which Karen gave me, and it started with an I, so I went with that. I like this book very much. I'm very into books these days since I've been making books. I guess I was before then too. In the background, I painted some more of that cotton sari fabric. Although I changed the colors a bit. So next page is J. J, it's jewelry, you know. I went and picked out some of my favorite jewelry, some jewelry that's was either unusual or easy to identify. The earrings are kind of big and obvious that they're earrings. The 2 rings, the gold one belonged to my mother. The plastic one, Noelle bought me at a garage sale. I love it. It has painting inside it. And the little glass is called a jigger. I use it in folding paper for my cards. On to K. K. Well, I looked in the cupboard again and found some of these ready meals that we bought at Job Lot, and this is one of them. If you haven't eaten it yet, it's still in the cupboard. I tried really hard to replicate the font. A little less hard replicating the looks of this soup-like stuff, but it was green on there, so and I like that color green. It's very spring-like. And then I decided to do some more K, which is the Kearsarge magazine, which is our local magazine. We don't have a very large or highly populated area in New Hampshire. We have a very fine magazine, very slick, very beautiful, comes out once a month. And this was the spring issue, and the art on there is done by the daughter of a friend of mine. So I gave her credit at the top. Everything I've ever seen her do is a rabbit, so I'm not sure if that's all she does, but at any rate, it's very cute. So, KL. So on this side, you'll see leaves, lots of leaves. I copied this from online. There was a little article about this woman named Judith Kerr, a British author and illustrator who died recently. And this is the 50th anniversary of her series of books called Mog. And Mog does this and Mog does that. And we used to read them to our kids when we lived in England and our children were little, like 5 and 3. Mog is a British slang word for cat. And sometimes they say moggy, meaning kitten. And I drew him as accurately as I could, but I added a little teardrop there because of Judith Kerr's death. She was in her 90s. And her books will be continued to be read and printed. On to N. I decided to draw noodles. These are farfalle noodles, which means butterfly in Italian. I just lined them all up. Perhaps I should have made them look a little bit more like butterflies, but I didn't have that idea right at first. I wanted to study each one. They are all theme and variation, all basically the same, but each one varies a little bit. You can see a little puntal, I think it's called puntal mark on each one where the machine kind of squashed it in the middle. And then I started to draw some of these wonderful tangerines we bought at a local farm stand. These days, they're selling things there that they don't generally sell. I'm not sure where they got them, but they were the best tangerines I ever had. So I drew one, and then I drew 3 more, and just for fun, I drew my orange scissors, which has holes in the middle, kind of like oranges, or tangerines, or satsumas. They all have various names, but they're all delicious. Now we're on to P. P. I spoke of my window seat before. There are pillows on the window seat, and then there is this Mary Poppins doll. Again, another children's toy made by my mother. I'm still amazed at the details on this. She made the boots. I invented the umbrella. But the rest of it is pretty accurate. And the pillow is sort of crazy like that, although I did simplify it on the edge behind Mary. I'm not a person who had a lot of dolls as a child, but I really do like the ones that sit on my windowsill. And here is a pretty faded pillow. I don't mind that it's faded. It shows time passing. It has things written on it in French, which appeals to me. Having spent so many years of my life with my nose in the French dictionary, learning vocabulary and learning to put it together into a sentence. In the middle, well, for next I drew rice. This is a plastic jar of rice that's got a strange shape because it's molded into a handle so you can pick it up. It's kind of heavy. This is a borio rice, I think it's called. I made it into risotto, which I never made before because it takes extra time, but I am very rich in time these days. And yes, I forgot the Q, so I had to stick that in. Fortunately, there was a little bit of space. I looked up what a quince looks like online and painted that in. I thought quinces were purple. I guess not. On to S. So this is my sketchbook. As I call it, my mini sketchbook. It's about 3 by 4, I guess. I went out for a walk and I painted the blue spruce at the end of our driveway, which used to be tiny when we first bought this house, and somehow I never noticed it has a double leader. We should have gotten rid of one of those at one time, but too late. Piles of dirty snow, old last year's leaves on the ground, brown. Up the hill, I heard a woodpecker on a dead tree and had to look and look and look for a while to find something moving. And then I did see him with his little red head bobbing up and down. These are some of my tools, a paintbrush, and of course a red pencil. I continued with the S. I painted a spoon that Bruce bought in Saskatoon. And when everyone except me went and Shane went to a secondhand store. It says Mexico on it. And another spoon over here is a beautiful silver spoon I bought in Venice. Tiny little store. Very non-touristy. I paid quite a bit of money for it. I absolutely love it. So on to tea. My box of PG Tips. Tea bags. I didn't draw the top of it, but I did draw one of the odd-looking tea bags that come out of there. It's shaped like a pyramid, and it has no tag. All right, now I drew some underwear. Yes, I did. I like the underwear they sell at Superstore in Edmonton, and the label is Joe Fresh. So we'll just move on right after that on to Vicks cough drops, which look exactly the same as when I was a kid. They are whole shaped like V's and taste like menthol and work reasonably well. On to the last page of W. This is my new walking shoes from LL Bean. We ordered them online. They didn't fit. So they got another pair for me from the main store, the mother store in Maine. It's a good exercise drawing shoelaces. And besides the fact they fit great, look great, I am also very pleased that the inside is turquoise, which is my favorite color, and along the edges where the laces go. So what could be better except for the fact that we're not going to Switzerland as we thought. I bought them to go to Switzerland, and here is a picture of where I thought we were going to be going. So this is X. X marks the spot on the map, but I guess the good news is I have been there before. It's a beautiful valley called Lauterbrunnen, and the valley is flat and it's surrounded by these enormously steep cliffs, and there are lots of waterfalls. I think we camped there. We stayed there in 1983, our last year living in England and our last year zipping around the continent every spring. And then, so that's X. Y is my yellow bird I bought on a beach in Costa Rica. I bought it from the man who carved it. He spoke no English. I speak no Spanish, but we communicated pretty well. I indicated that I loved it, and he indicated he was happy that I bought it. And it's a yellow tanager, which is native to Costa Rica and Panama. So it's not all yellow. Some of it's a little bit like chartreuse pea green. It's so detailed. I just appreciate that fact. And then for Z, I went to one of my favorite kind of relax music websites on YouTube. It's they call it Zen music. It's easygoing, lots of water sounds. Here's some water, and water flowing over rocks, which I can hear actually if I just walk out the door. But anyway, that makes the Z for my book. So that is the end of my sketch pad, although, look, there's an empty page. More to come. Bye-bye.